Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge.
And I'm Ashley Sledge.
And let's talk horror.
So today we are going to do our review on Black Friday.
So a synopsis of this film: on Thanksgiving night, a group of toy store employees gather for their Black Friday sales, but as something out of this world throws a wrench into those plans.
So we're going to talk about the negatives, we're going to talk about the positives, and then we are going to spoil the film. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out and then come back here.
But for now, let's get into the positives.
So some of the positives, it's a Thanksgiving horror movie, guys. We don't have a lot of Thanksgiving horror movies, so there's not a lot that you can really watch around Thanksgiving time that's horror related. So I think that is definitely a positive.
Yeah. Also, you get some meta-ness in here. You have them watching Curse of Chucky on TV, which is totally rad, and foreshadowing for Devon Sawa as well.
Absolutely. And then you have some likable characters. Working in a retail store, they really did a great job having the different personalities. I'm sure that when you've gone into a retail store, you've seen you got the overachiever, you have the underachiever, you have the germaphobe, you have the one that thinks they're the boss, but they really aren't the boss. And then you just have the one that pretty much was in high school and thinks that he's still cool and he's really old and he's not.
Right.
So
yeah, the guy that peaked in high school.
Yes.
The makeup looks really, really good in this movie. The infected shoppers look disgusting and awesome. Something that Casey Tebow, the director of this film, really, really wanted to focus on. So very, very proud of how the practical makeup effects look throughout the film.
Mm-hmm. And great practical effects, too. We will talk about some other negatives on the other side of this, but for what they did practically, it looks good.
Yeah, and it's just a mindless, fun time. You've got a lot of big-name actors. You got Devon Sawa, you got Bruce Campbell. You got some horror icons that are in this film, and they're together having just a mindless, fun time. This is a movie that you could just shut your mind off, sit down, and have a great time with.
And who doesn't want to do that after they eat a bunch of turkey?
Exactly. So we've talked about some of the positives. Now let's get into some of our negatives of Black Friday.
So some of the negatives, there are a lot of off-screen kills, and I get it, this movie was low budget, this was kind of like a passion project, but you know how we like to see our kills, and we like to see them, we don't want to see them off screen.
Right. And the CGI does not look the best in this film. Mm-hmm. Again, indie, passion projects, but we still got to call out for what we don't like, and the CGI just does not look very good in this film.
Also, I felt like the setting in the store wasn't really used to its full capacity. Like, for the most part, they were in the back of the store for a lot of the movie, and you had this entire store. It just felt like they didn't use the setting completely.
One defense of that, this was filmed during COVID, so they were only allowed to have X amount of people during certain scenes. We did have Casey on My First Horror Movie. I have that linked down in the description where he talks about that a little bit. So we still got to, it sucks now, and I know they couldn't do it, but when you're watching it, you're like, oh, this could have been so much bigger in scale.
Yeah.
Some of the comedy felt forced. It didn't really land all that well.
A lot of it is funny, but some of it just felt like they were trying too hard.
Yes.
The big monster, the big shopper monster at the end, just it doesn't look the greatest.
You can use your imagination in that, though.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know.
Right. There's no explanation to what the goo-looking thing was or where it came from, except it's a meteor.
Yeah.
And it does kind of create like a zombie-type thing, so zombians?
Yeah.
Alien zombies?
Yeah, they're just like the crazy shoppers.
Right.
I don't know exactly what they are. Obviously, it's an alien type thing of some sort, but it doesn't really give a lot of explanation of what they are.
It does not. So now we've talked about our positives and our negatives that are spoiler-free. Now we're going to talk about some positives and negatives and things that we loved overall and spoil the film for you.
Alright guys, so now we're going to spoil this film for you. So it begins, an alien-looking Bob falls from the sky into a retail store.
Yeah. It ends up killing the guy that's in there.
He ends up turning into a zombie-looking...
A zombian.
Yeah, a zombian.
We then meet Ken, a divorced dad. He has to work Black Friday. He drops his girls off to the mom and stepdad, and then he goes and picks up Chris, who we love very, very much, Chris the germaphobe.
But everybody is so mean to Chris. Like, he gets a lot of shit from people.
Unfairly.
Yes.
A lot of shit from people.
Even his own dad. But anyways, Chris, he gets attacked by the shopper, the zombie-looking shopper, and he ends up hitting her with a car. So,
which is already funny because he's so grossed out.
Yeah, and
like,
he doesn't want to touch gross people. Yeah, so he hits her with a car because she's coming at him.
Well, right before that, it shows him like he's the one that has to go clean up the mess, and it shows him like with the mop looking at the mess.
And that puke mess, I would have been like, did this person die?
Yeah,
well, clearly they did.
I quit.
Yes.
I'm out. They end up zip tying him to the chair.
Yes.
This is a citizen's arrest, and they zip tie him to the chair because he hit the woman, which obviously is not normal anyway. Like, she's obviously infected with something.
Right. So they close the store down early, or they're trying to get all the shoppers out. And big boss Bruce Campbell, Jonathan. He's like, we'll get this under wraps, and then we'll open back up. And they're just like, what do you mean?
Right. So they end up calling over to other stores, and you find out that other stores in the area are being attacked as well, and they're all forming together. They say this right here. So they're building something is all we know. We don't know what the extent is, but when they get together, they're building something.
Yeah, so they also find out that they were never going to give them their holiday bonuses. So they're working Thanksgiving night, not spending time with their family, and they were never planning on giving them the holiday bonuses that they had promised.
And they were also going to start layoffs right after this. So big boy Bruce, our boy Jonathan, gets punched right in the face for this.
I mean, do you blame him, though?
No.
So then you kind of like follow the shoppers a little bit, and they're just like dragging a bunch of shit into the middle of the store. So whatever they're building, they're using like the toys and anything that they can find to build this thing.
Right. Well, then you get Ken and Chris. They get into an argument, and Ken goes, "You got a lot to learn, kid." And Chris says this.
You see me way too often to be your actual child.
Now, something I love about that scene, this is already obviously an emotional scene, but this shows how amazing Bruce Campbell is. Because if you watch him in the background, his background acting here is so well done. The way he's just like, ooh. You know, like the camera doesn't even focus on him. Mm-hmm. But that's how much that Bruce Campbell is Jonathan here. Like, he's visually reacting to what Chris just said, completely off of kilt of the camera. But that's why Bruce Campbell is one of the best in the genre. Mm-hmm. It's just because of his background acting alone. Like, the guy is a huge inspiration to me, to Ashley, to everybody in the horror community. And it's little things like that that make him the best in the game.
Yeah, so he is amazing. And he's funny. Just like his little quirks that he adds to things, it just makes things so much funnier. He is one of like the comedic parts of this movie that does land for me.
Yes.
So speaking of him, Jonathan, Bruce Campbell, the big boss, he says...
The new hire comes back to life.
Yeah, the new hire comes back to life, and he says this.
I told you they never die.
He told us they never die.
Yeah. And it really reminds me of something that he would have said in Evil Dead.
Yeah.
I know this is like the zombie thing, and that's kind of like what Evil Dead is.
With the Deadites.
With the Deadites. And it definitely feels like Bruce Campbell in that.
Yes. Well, then, you know, they're all fighting the new hire, and Ken gets bit. Mm-hmm. Devin Sawa gets bit. So he stays behind so the others can get outside. And
they go into the box truck.
Right.
But
when they're on their way, they see Chris sees the guy from the beginning that disappeared. And then he walks away, and Chris is like, okay. Well, then that guy starts coming back with a whole horde of them.
Yeah.
Chasing after Chris. And Chris gets to the truck, but of course they can't get the box truck started.
He doesn't know how to start it, so he's like, well, abort mission.
Yep.
So they go up onto the roof. So they get on the roof, and this is when Ken is kind of like fighting for his life. And we didn't really mention her in the beginning, but one of like the Karen shoppers, like over the top, like me. She is a zombie looking thing, and she's going after him, and this is when Ken starts a fire down below. So they're on the roof.
Ken's gonna sacrifice himself.
Yeah, they're on the roof, and he started a fire down in the actual store, and is like turning on like the gas, the whatever you call them, the gas.
Well, then at this point, Jonathan sacrifices himself too. He jumps down to try to make it so that the people up on top of the roof can get away. But we see that the portal thing is now coming through the roof.
The thing that they were making. This is where the CGI doesn't look the greatest when this thing is like coming out through the roof. I wish it looked better, but it doesn't look great.
Right. And then to add insult to injury, Brian tells us this.
I bit Ken. Ken Bates was no hero. He was a drunk and a creep. So I did us all a favor.
What the fuck, Brian? Like,
Yeah, you dick.
Like what? He's got
You
kids.
essentially murdered the guy.
Yeah, for what? Just because you don't like him?
Right.
So then Chris, he again tries to help, so he goes gets a forklift, and this is when the big monster that's coming up through the roof uses its like what I don't even know what
It's
that
like a
thing
white-
is. It's like a like
Pussy spider
ugh,
web.
it's disgusting.
Yeah.
Grabs the forklift and he's pulling back with the forklift, and the thing is trying to like get it, and so he lets off the gas, and it hits it. It like flings back and hits it, and then you see it bleeding, and this doesn't look good either. This is when it's like bleeding and stuff, but he essentially kills the big monster.
Well, this is when you get the monster in the store all collapsing into each other. But Ken did survive.
He did. Yep, he gets out, and they find his car. So,
And he's like, I love how the girl's like, what are we doing? He's like, pancakes. It's like, no, daughter.
yeah, your kids.
Daughter, dude.
Come on.
You haven't learned shit, Ken.
He literally hasn't.
But we do see another monster in the distance, so it is not over.
Right.
So this is a movie that we do watch every single year on Thanksgiving, Black Friday. It's this and Planes, Trains, Automobiles.
Yeah.
So we love this movie. Like I said, it's a mindless good time. Overall, I would say that I would give this a 2.5 out of 5. I have a really fun time with it. Obviously, it has its issues, but with its low budget and COVID filming schedule, it's a creature of what was going on at the time. And for them to still be able to pull off what they did under those circumstances, still worked out great.
I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. I have a great time with it. Like you said, it's Thanksgiving horror, and we don't have a lot of it. So it's kind of hard to be picky on what you like. But it's a fun movie. Like, if nothing else, if the CGI looks like shit, it's a fun movie. And you're going to put it on, and you're just going to have a mindless fun time.
Yeah, you're never not entertained.
Yeah.
So we do want to thank everybody for watching. And for everybody that celebrates, happy Thanksgiving. Happy holidays coming up. We know it's the holiday season, the time for giving, the time for showing love, and that's what we want to do. So thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for watching. Have a great holiday season. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror.
Stay who you are.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Bye, guys. We're thankful for all of you.